Alright, so today I just wanted to talk about Bryson and Trap Soul, and why I put Trap Soul in my top 5 albums. Bearing in mind Trap Soul is an R&B, album, so obviously I wouldn't put this against hip hop and trap music, trap albums, etc. But from my own personal, like what I listen to and stuff, Trap Soul is definitely in my top 5, probably my top 3, and Party Next Door's up there as well. I just wanted to discuss about how I feel like his music, we're not gonna get music as powerful as Trap Soul is, and I'm saying that because since Trap Soul was released, we don't get that same, I don't think a lot of Bryson Tiller's fans anyway get that same feeling from his new music as we did, with Don't and Exchange and all those mainstream songs. Let me just have a look. So he released so Trap Soul was released in 2015, 2nd of October. That feels so long ago. And then Don't was released on Spotify anyway. No, sorry, on what is it, SoundCloud? Right, so yeah, right. Trap Soul was released in 2015, and then his second studio album, sophomore album, True to Self, was released in 2017. That's a 2-year gap, right? And then that was in the 26th of May. I remember when he released this album, and there was a lot of hype around it because it had been 2 years since his last album, for one. I feel like he done a lot of promotion because he released 2 singles before that, Run Me Dry, one with Young Thug, let me find the name of it, I forgot. Yeah, Get Mine. He released Get Mine and Run Me Dry. When Get Mine got dropped, everyone was thinking, oh, we're gonna get features on this album now, which we never, because it's very, but I think Bryson was trying to go, platinum again, solo, without anyone else on his project, which is fair enough. But yeah, releasing songs like Get Mine and Run Me Dry, it did really hype the album and stuff. And then he also decided to release the album, I think it was like 2 weeks before his release date. I say in quotation marks because I feel like that was a business plan or whatever, because there's no way that he can just choose to drop it when he wants, especially when he's signed to a label. Anyway, yeah, I feel like by him releasing the album, that second album, True to Self, 2 weeks before the release date, it did actually put a hinder to his sales and a hinder to his reception of the music. And I like the album, but I haven't been back to it the same way I'm back to Trap Soul. I feel like Trap Soul's, in my eyes, I feel like that's definitely gonna live on for a really long time, especially amongst my generation when it comes to R&B and vibes and stuff. Trap Soul is definitely one of the top albums, and True to Self just wasn't the same. And I'm not saying I was expecting it to be the same, but I am saying I was expecting more similar kind of Trap Soul vibes, but I never really got that, and I never really got the feeling I wanted. Although when it dropped I was playing it on repeat. I feel like I may have been doing that because of the hype. If there wasn't so much promotion and hype surrounding that album, maybe I wouldn't even be playing on repeat that way. Serenity is supposed to be the name of his next album. He's been teasing fans for, I'd say, like 2 years now. It's 2019, so again, he's like technically due to drop an album if he's dropping it every 2 years. And again, high hopes, high expectations for this. The singles he releases I find really good. Recently he released a song called Blame on streaming platforms. That was released, let me find out. I don't even have the date. It was really recent. I think it was like July that got released. It was on his website first, and then it got put onto streaming platforms. And he also put out Cancelled, which was released last year in 2018. And I've also noticed him doing a lot of features with Ryan Trey, Aluna George, There's another one. I can't remember. But what I'm saying is, he's been active, but I feel like album-wise, he's really quiet about it. And even he said himself in a post once on Instagram how he feels as though he didn't reach the standards of his fans, and that really kind of put a hinder in his career, and it really affected him. Which of course it would, because when you have that many fans and you become so big so quickly, it is a lot of pressure to put out a solid album, and if you don't get that kind of reception back that you hope for, then it is going to hurt. However, I feel like Serenity is definitely taking his time with it. Like, I can see he's taking his time. He told us summer 2019 at one point, I'm sure, and it's coming very, very close to the end of summer, so I don't see that happening. Furthermore, I feel like we are going to be happy with this project. But then again, I could have said that about 2017's True to Self. But like I said, the way he's approached this next album, it seems a lot more genuine and I guess less forced, I'd say, as in the time it's taken to create it. When True to Self got released, I feel like he was put under a lot of pressure because he came off tour. He went straight from one album touring and then onto that second album, and then he had all these fans atting him like, when we're getting new music, and I feel like that caused rush and pressure when dropping the album. However, now, you know, he's just doing his own thing. He's not necessarily listening to us, but he's taking his time with it to make sure it is what we want as fans and what he wants as an artist. Blame, I think, was really good. It's really short, it's a really nice single. Like, it's definitely trap soul vibes again, and I feel like it's again getting everyone excited, getting everyone ready. He did state that it's not a part of an album, it's not a single release for the albums or anything to do with that, so that's slightly upsetting because that means we've still got a lot of time before the rollout. However, it is nice knowing that, you know, he's still active music wise. And yeah, I feel like his singles are really, you know, slept on when they get released. Like, I know he's not, his biggest single, Don't or Exchange, I don't know which one, I don't think he's had singles as big as those. I don't think he can get another single as big as those, although Run Me Dry done really well. But I feel like he's never going to get a single as good as Don't again. You know, it hit differently, and and I feel like there was a reason for that happening. But I feel like his singles are really good. Even his music on SoundCloud, which a lot of people don't know about or understand, he has remixes on there, and he remixed How About Now, as I mentioned in my other podcast. And he's also got a really good song called Honey, which I think that's probably one of my favorite songs by him ever. Yeah, that song, when that got released, I was in shock because I really like that one, you know. This was released quite a while back. This was in 2017, before the album. And I think, yeah, that was released as part of the singles for True to Self. I think that should have made it onto the album, because it's a lot, like I said, it's a lot more R&B. It's a lot more what I expect from Bryson Tiller compared to Run Me Dry. But yeah, back to Trap Soul. As I was saying, I don't feel like we're gonna get songs as deep and as emotional as them, because when Bryce Tiller was writing Trap Soul, obviously he wasn't as big as he is now. So that means his experiences aren't as, you know, solidified or as stable as he is now. I'm not saying I want him to be unstable writing music, but we can appreciate, you know, that kind of emotional R&B like for however long. And even Open Interlude was so, everything on there just felt so suited to Bryson Tiller as a person and as an artist. And when you come to look at True to Self, yeah, you see change in character, which is important because you need to see a change in artist for an artist to grow. But you see, I think it's a bit too prominent, a bit too obvious that, you know, change has been made in songs like Self Made. Like, you know, I wouldn't expect him to be making music like that. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not hating on the album. I'm not frowning upon the album or anything or shaming it. I'm just saying that I just feel like we're not going to get music as I don't know, essential as Trap Soul. Trap Soul I can throw on late night whilst you're chilling with a girl, you know. True to Self, I can't do that with. It has a few singles on there, but they're very specific, and that's why I appreciate Trap Soul again as a project as a whole, because I feel like a lot of it is really, you know, mood fitting. Mood fitting. Also, he also released a remix of Party Next Door and Tory Lanez song Leaning. Now here's my confusion with this. Well, not even confusion. I don't think people realize that, or not people, right? I've noticed that a lot of people that listen to Party Next Door listen to Tory Lanez, or a lot of people that listen to Tory Lanez will listen to Party Next Door, or a lot of people that listen to Bryson Tiller listen to Party Next Door, etc., etc. You get the idea. They all like bounce off each other music wise, right? So for Bryson Tiller to release a whole remix of Leaning, which is Tory Lanez and Party Next Door, which wasn't even released like professionally. It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't released on streaming platforms or anything. It wasn't released as a single. It was just. Well, it was released as a single. It wasn't released the way I feel like it should have been. I feel like it's such a big, you know, a big move to make. As in, I feel like it was really, really. I think it was a great song. I know it's only a remix, but that's probably the closest we're going to getting Party Next Door, Tory Lanez and Bryson Tiller all on one song. Yeah, when Tory Lanez and Party Next Door released a song, it wasn't released as like a big single, like, you know, I think that was 2 songs released from, Tory released it before he dropped his album as like a teaser or whatever, I don't even know, but it wasn't released as proper as I feel like it should have. I feel like this should be on streaming platforms. I feel like it could have been promoted, and I feel like people would want more music from Tory Lanez and Party Next Door, because both of them two are such big players within the R&B genre in music, and modern, you know, today's scene. And like I said, Bryson Tiller remixing it, I don't see why it didn't get as much hype as it does. However, when Bryson Tiller remixed Finesse, which is a Drake song, that done really well. But then again, he released that on Escape Tracks, and that done really well. And that was again a really good remix. I prefer Bryson Tiller's Finesse to Drake's Finesse. And music like this, I feel like he should be releasing more, not prominently, but more, you know, instead of keeping quiet and just dropping the song, he should do more promotion with it, because it would help him popularity wise. Because I've shown people Finesse and they're like, oh, you know, they're like, wow. I feel like that's important for him as an artist as well. But what I'm expecting from Bryson Tiller now, is like, now that he's released Blame, you know, he's kind of set the tone, I feel like. Unless he releases another single, which is completely different. But yeah, with Blame, I do expect, you know, similar kind of vibes. Hopefully it goes back to, you know, not original Trap Soul, but back into that section, that comfort zone for him. Because I feel like his rapping has to be really, really subjective to the song and to the beat. Like sometimes he'll rap and I find it cringy, like on a feature or something, but sometimes he'll rap and I'm like, okay, his voice is nice. And then his singing, just, you know, I could hear his voice from a mile, you know, like you can spot him. He's got a really distinct voice, which I appreciate so much. Oh yeah, Leaning got released on Escape Tracks as well, and again that never got as much, nowhere near as much views as Finesse did. I don't know if that's because of who it was. Let Me Explain is another one of my favourites by Bryson Tiller. This was released 2 years ago, 2017. I think this was, definitely one of my favourite songs. I don't think I'm gonna. And he released Normal Girl. Yeah, you see, this is what I mean. He releases all these singles and stuff, and you just forget about them because they don't get released to his Spotify. They're not released, like, he doesn't have like cover art necessarily for it that stands out, you know. And I know they're covers, so you can't necessarily do much with it. Like, maybe you have to go through clearing and stuff to get it on Spotify or whatever. But like I said, you forget that he's doing these things, and sometimes I appreciate it in the fact that he's low key, and I can go and show people this and be like, yeah, like, this is why I love Tiller. But then there's other times I'm like, why isn't he promoting this way more? And I still, like I said, Leaning should have done so much better than it did. Like, that could have been a full-on single easily. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about Trap Soul and Bryson Tiller. I don't know if it made any sense, to be honest. Let me know who you listen to and stuff. But yeah, thanks.